the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
I'm Mark Hall. We're learning more about a car crash that happened early this morning in Montgomery County. This car fell from the 5th floor of a parking garage in Friendship Heights, Chevy Chase. DC News Now's Candace Cole has more from the scene.
Imagine walking down the street and then all of a sudden a car comes falling from the sky at your feet. That's exactly what happened here on the backside of the Hills Plaza here in Chevy Chase. According to Pete Perringer of Montgomery County Fire and EMS, the crash happened around 8:50 this morning when the white car you see here took a plunge from the 5th floor of the parking deck here at the Barlow building, landing on its roof. One person who came on the scene after the crash says a woman was behind the wheel and miraculously pulled herself out of the vehicle. Another said the crash happened as a pedestrian was walking down the street and apparently unfazed by the incident. The woman is now being treated at an area hospital.
I saw the driver sitting at the entrance, and then the ambulance come with the stretcher, and then she got up and get in the thing and the stretcher and walk away alive. And to me, that was a miracle.
Now, according to Perringer, Montgomery County Police have now taken over the investigation into what exactly happened to cause this crash. Reporting from Chevy Chase, Candace Cole, DC News Now.
All right, Candace, thank you. Meteorologist Damon Matson joined us now with the latest check on the forecast. Damon, it just seems like a repeat from yesterday.
Yeah, it does, Mark. And I was going to say, how do you like shorts for Halloween? I think we're well on track to have that set up as we go along here. It's another sunny, beautiful day, but the big story, those temperatures are not stopping. They continue to rise as we go into the start of this week here, into the middle of the week as well. And there we have it. We have those current temperatures out there right now. How about 70, nearly 70 in the district right there at 69 degrees. Frederick right at the 70-degree mark. And then we have lower 70s across much of northern Virginia. And we are far from done bringing up these temperatures today. So we are expecting things to dial up even more. We reached the lower 70s on Tuesday. We're about to flirt with 80 before the day is said and done. There it is, under a mostly sunny sky and a southerly wind. We will bump those temperatures up another 5 to 10 degrees. This is short sleeve weather, folks, and we don't typically get this in late October, but you can be out on the back deck just enjoying the sunshine, not even needing a coat as we go throughout the rest of the day. Now, is this going to be enough to break any records? Not quite. We will get close likely in some locations here today, like Hagerstown. The record high is 81 degrees. DC's is 82, but most of us should end up around 78, 79 degrees. Now, Halloween, totally different story. As we get ready for any holiday festivities, trick-or-treat events going on, are you likely to not need a coat at all? And could we even break some records tomorrow? We'll have those answers in your full forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Damon, thank you. Nearly 75,000 people heard Vice President Kamala Harris give her closing arguments for her campaign last night at the National Mall. DC News Now's Jean-Marie Sissay spoke to people who were there.
Now, what made Kamala Harris' speech Tuesday night significant was the fact that she stood in the exact same place Donald Trump gave his speech just before the January 6th attack back in 2021. Now, the purpose was to show that they have two different visions.
The energy was off the charts. It was awesome. Just really a wonderful crowd.
Michelle Rohr was one of 75,000 people at the Ellipse here in D.C. Tuesday night to hear Kamala Harris share her closing remarks for her campaign for president.
Her joy, her energy, her commitment to service of all of us. She's had a lifelong career, and it's just a amazing opportunity that we all have to have this amazing woman as our president.
Harris gave her speech just 2 days after Donald Trump gave his at the Madison Square Garden, and some people felt the difference.
I was in New York outside of Madison Square Garden just 48 hours ago, and the difference between the two was quite significant. I thought there was a lot less tension in the air here.
On Tuesday, Harris vowed to put the country over party and said that Donald Trump was obsessed with revenge and his own personal interest.
Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list.
She also spoke on focusing on the working class. Her goals to tackle price gouging for groceries, fight for affordable child care, and easier access to home health care for seniors.
And I will work with everyone, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to help Americans.
Despite the tight election, some say,
I feel hope.
Early voting is still taking place and the polls are open. And election day is next Tuesday, November 5th. Reporting in Northwest D.C., I'm Yalmar Sase, D.C. News Now.
Marie, thank you. While Harris was speaking at the Ellipse, former President Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania last night. This speech comes after a speaker at Trump's weekend rally in New York City made a comment calling Puerto Rico, quote, a floating island of garbage, leading to a heavy amount of backlash. The former president spoke in Allentown last night, a city with a large Hispanic population, saying that he is the best president for Puerto Ricans and Hispanic people.
Nobody loves our Latino community and our Puerto Rican community more than I do. I will deliver the best future for Puerto Ricans and for Hispanic Americans. Kamala will deliver you poverty and crime. That's all they're going to do.
Well, Puerto Rico's Republican shadow Senator Zoraida Buxo also spoke at the rally, reiterating her support for the former president. Well, new at noon, Virginia State Attorney General Jason Miyares announcing the U.S. Supreme Court is ruling to grant Virginia's emergency stay to keep non-citizens off the voter rolls. Now, this all happening just a week from Election Day in Virginia. There are nearly 6 million Virginians registered to vote. Now, if the federal judge ruling was in favor of reinstating non-citizens, Virginia would have had to reinstate more than 1,500 voters. A lawyer for the private group that sued says that people can still register to vote on Election Day, November 5th, and cast their ballots. And well, this all comes as the race for president remains tight in several key battleground states. In Virginia, new polling from the Washington Post and George Mason University shows Harris holds a 6-point lead over Trump outside of the margin of error. Her lead is smaller than the 10-point margin in which President Joe Biden won in Virginia in 2020.
No reason to think that something like what happened in 2021, where Glenn Youngkin was able to squeak out a victory for the Republicans, that there's just a number of circumstances that happened there that are not happening this year in any, I would say, normal year, if there is such a thing in politics. Virginia should vote for the Democrat. And I think that that's what's going to happen this year.
Trump does plan to visit the state on Saturday, holding a rally in Salem. And you can vote early through Saturday in the Commonwealth. A coalition in the district meeting with the leadership of the pizza chain and pizza. Now, the knot in D.C. formed over a dessert that the chain created, making fun of former D.C. Mayor Marion Barry's cocaine use. Well, the dessert, called Marion Barry Knots, Barry spelled with an E, and the CEO apologized last week and took them off the menu. But the collective says the disrespect shown to the former mayor deserves more than an apology. That group says they met with the CEO yesterday. In a statement, they say, quote, at this time we are pausing all actions as we negotiate next steps. And we're also working closely with the Marion Barry estate and pizza to produce a global resolution that addresses all concerns. Well, D.C.'s council passed a new law putting new limitations on how and when people can protest. Well, the measure is meant to protect people living in D.C. from noise disturbances and anyone inside a home where a protest is happening. It comes after fed-up neighbors have been complaining about noisy protests outside of the Chinese ambassador's house that would carry on late into the evening. To the Residential Tranquility Act of 2010, which restricts activity from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., but the new law states that rule does not align with the realities of modern life and work patterns. Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto said in a post on X, the new law prohibits the use of amplification devices like bullhorns between 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. During demonstrations outside of a targeted resident in the district. And it also bans throwing objects at homes when intended to cause fear, intimidate, or retaliate against residents.
I remain committed to preserving robust spaces for public discourse, peaceful assembly, and the right to voice dissent through protest. However, what we are witnessing in a few circumstances targeting residents goes far beyond peaceful protest.
Mayor Bowser also supports the new law. In a letter to council, she said it reaffirms the district's commitment to protecting D.C. residents while balancing protesters' First Amendment rights.
Let's get to the front, child. Here we go. Go!
Our morning anchor, Corey James, joining around 200 people slipping on their fancy shoes and sprinting to the finish line dressed in drag and costumes. In his second race experience, we strapped a GoPro camera onto his body. Well, thousands of people watching his runners sprint to the finish line of this year's high heels race, and the race dates back more than 30 years, and it began as a bet between local drag queens and bartenders racing each other to different LGBTQ+ bars along 17th Street. DC News Now is an official partner of the event. We were at the finish line where Kenny Monroe was crowned the winner. DC News Now's anchor Susan Tran caught up with Kenny to give him his medal, and the winner making a big improvement over last year.
I ran for the first time last year, but I did face plant.
Oh my gosh, wait. And so what did you learn from last year, from that face plant to winning it all this year?
You know, you have to have more faith in your heels. Yeah, that's what gets you across the finish line, you know?
And Kenny won't walk away empty-handed. He won $500 for his big win. Another racer in the back of that interview, our very own anchor Corey James. Corey may not have won, but he still gave a great effort. Congratulations.